You're watching a production of South Dakota Public Broadcasting.
Rhubarb Day at the museum is established to gain a little bit larger acceptance of the idea that you've got edible plants in your backyard.
We're still feeding ourselves as we walk along.
Exactly.
Growing your own produce, finding those things in your yard just is kind of an adventure, I guess, more than anything.
Each country, they have their own favorite food or traditional items. They come to celebrate with us, so we share the food and we share the cultures.
My dinners are always special to me. Food is very important to me because that's where conversation happens. So it's got to look good. It's got to taste good. You got to hold it in your mouth. You got to savor it, right? My mom used to take us out harvesting. We'd get plums and choke cherries. And the hardest one was always the grapes. They get so high up in the trees, and my mom would always tell us to go up there in the trees and get the grapes. And we'd be climbing up in there, and she's like, no, further, to your right or to your left. And we'd pick them up and drop them off, and just crazy stuff, hanging from a tree, you know, hanging from a vine. It's just goofy. These plants, and we have a native hop species. Yeah, from this point, I mean, we've got so many vines in here. I really like these. I don't want to be hanging from a tree or going through so much brush to get my little grapes. The best jam ever. You guys don't even know.
We bought this property back in 2010. So teaming up with other entities on the reservation, other groups that have a focus on community gardening. So there's big possibilities, and there's a lot of dreams of a lot of people coming together.
For me, it was slightly difficult. I can trample in, I can create this whole mess in here of squishing all these other plants that are usable. Why don't we just make it accessible? Why don't we just make it easier? Nature is absolutely beautiful. But as people age, as our bodies break down, it gets harder to get to these places.
And what can be grown and what can be gotten for the people here is so big. Not only the traditional plants like tomatoes and carrots and radishes, the indigenous plants that have been on these reservations for years, the choke cherries, the buffalo berries, the wild plums, the wild grapes. People make medicines of these, and we want to bring all that back because the elders on this reservation are eager to see that happen and to teach their kids and their grandkids the possibilities of being a healthy nation again.
So we want to create this space that goes through here with an edible landscape, keeping in mind the disabilities that people have. When you have a whole bunch of choke cherries together or a whole bunch of plums together, they're smaller and they're harder to get to. If you clear them out a little bit, you can transplant them, you can move them, and then they'll grow into smaller trees that someone could easily go up into with a wheelchair, and they could just reach up and get the branches that are hanging low and the fruit that's hanging low, you know. This is going to be beautiful in here, Ted.
I know.
So I had them go through here and identify certain things that inhibit our walkway, so all of the stuff, thinking about light. People love to sit underneath the cottonwood trees and with the wind whistling through it, so then that's healing, right? Yeah. You just build a bent wood archway, and then they can just sit there for a moment and rest their arms if they're wheeling through, right? I mean, the way that just looks, you know? Little kids love to make forts out of, right?
Brings back old memories.
It's just, sir, it does. So creating those little spaces in there. All the burdock, that's a very usable plant. So we can harvest all of those and make a medicine out of the root.
What medicine do we get out of burdock?
It's a cleanser, a blood cleanser.
As far as plants that we see that may irritate skin and things like that, do we see anything?
I haven't seen anything at all. It's
So
been
ivies or
beautiful.
oaks or-
Not a one.
That's a plus.
Yeah,
we do
huge plus.
see a lot of nice things like these. We're still feeding ourselves as we walk along.
Exactly. So slowing people down on a meander versus just going straight through. But a meander is nice, but also it's going to affect their mental, emotional, and spiritual health. They'll be happy here. They'll be at peace here. Because even that physical activity of them going through here, you got to make it easy enough that they can be successful, hard enough that they can feel like they accomplished something, right?
And get some
that
exercise.
and exercise, and that gives them oomph. It builds that resiliency, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of useful plants in here that can be used in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
This is a very difficult place to grow food. By using these principles of creating a more of a natural system and figuring that out, then you have a potential much less failure. They capture carbon instead of creating more. There's been studies now that show that they can produce as much yield as the commercial agriculture. So there's a lot of hope in that.
I don't know. It's a traditional plant species. These have been with us for a long time, and then it's been replaced with commodities off of a back of a truck. May I please have more? You know, our rations, our monthly rations. That's what we get. And we've gotten away from what we used to be. These are healthy. Way healthier than what's coming in a can, what's coming off of the back of a truck, what's packaged, what's processed. And then with physical health comes mental health. If you're low in vitamin D because you're not eating the right foods or you're not getting enough sun, right, that lowers your mood. Depression can start setting in from that. So a lot of these fruits and natural things that we've evolved with over however long we've been on this continent, this is what we grew with. This is how we evolved with these plants. They're important to us. We can bring that food back to people.
Probably the first time anybody eats rhubarb, it's just a stalk like this, cup of sugar like, it should really be a tin cup with a handle on it because that's how it is. And you just dip it in there. And of course I have a terrible sweet tooth, so I get as much sugar as I can and then you just bite it and eat it. But that's the way it's fun to eat. And then I've told somebody, we always had to wear the rhubarb leaf on our head after we ate. I said, why did you do that? I said, I have no idea. That's just something we did. So, and sometimes they get really big.
That's the rhubarb.
Wonderful.
Larry, really, I appreciate this rhubarb because, you know, it's always fun in the spring to have a nice fresh dessert from rhubarb from your garden. So today I'm going to make just what we call back east rhubarb crunch. And listen,
Sounds good.
it sounds like crunchy rhubarb, doesn't it? So what do you think? I'm going to need 3 cups, so I'm going to let you start putting that in the measuring cup for me. And when we get that 3 cups, you can put it in the metal bowl, and I'm going to toss it with a little bit of sugar, cinnamon, and a smidgen of flour. Good, fresh rhubarb. This has only been out of the ground, but
Less than an hour.
10 minutes. It's always great when people show up at the back door with fresh fruit. We don't care what it is, it just tastes good, right? You know, I've made desserts with the thin red stuff that's more cultivated and sold in stores, or the family garden variety, which tends to be larger and greener, and I think both taste equally well. The green is a little less sweet, but I tend to like things tart anyway, so that works for me.
The best variety is the one that's available.
Exactly. We're just glad it grows. I'm glad it grows every spring in my neighbor's garden. You know, when I moved in here, there wasn't any rhubarb, and I just haven't gotten around to planting any. People are always willing to share. So this is just the rhubarb with a little coating on it. Oh, I think this one's going to fill up the pan nicely. I'm just making a small one today with 8x8 pan. And then I've put together the crunch part, which is oatmeal and brown sugar and flour and butter. And my secret ingredient, which I'm willing to share, is most anything I bake has flaxseed in it. It adds a little nuttiness, and it's a health benefit supposedly. So I think I referred to this earlier as rhubarb crunch, but I think a more common term in this part of the country is rhubarb crisp. Crisp, crunch, whatever. It comes out kind of a nice nutty topping for a very easy dessert. And just spread this on top. And with a half a cup of butter in there, we'll make the oatmeal and sugar and flour all blend together nicely. And then, just as a little extra, because desserts sometimes look better if they're brown on top after coming out of the oven, a little cinnamon sugar on top. I think Martha Stewart taught me that. I've preheated the oven to 350 degrees. And I've set my timer for 45 minutes, and then dessert will be done for tonight. I'll invite the neighbors back since they were kind enough to provide the rhubarb.
Our rhubarb plant was here when we bought the house close to 50 years ago. The plant has always produced. We've used it very little. A lot of adjacent houses have rhubarb.
I was born in Winona, Minnesota, and when I was 4, we moved into a little acreage in Wisconsin, and that little acreage had everything. It had a whole row of rhubarb, so I always thought it just grew automatically. But I think I'm the only person in Vermilion, South Dakota, who cannot grow rhubarb. One day we got talking, those 15 years ago, how much fun it would be to have a rhubarb pie day. So we decided to have a rhubarb recipe contest. That's all we did, was bring rhubarb recipes, taste them, and judge them. It's just a fun time.
We'd like to welcome you to, and we will be singing the Rhubarb National Anthem. An intro, please, whenever you're ready.
My daughter plays the piano and accompanies us with great flourish, and it's oh beautiful for red, pink, and green.
Oh, beautiful for rhubarb, red and green, for love and Spencer, though of the kitchen sing. We have an executive proclamation from Governor Dugard, and that it be known that rhubarb and the citizens of Vermilion are valuable assets for good of all, and because of the Friends of the William H. Over Museum recognize and value the worth of all things rhubarb, which can be utilized in the preparation of delectable recipes with ingredients from artichokes to zucchini, and especially those recipes containing copious amounts of sugar. Governor of the state of South Dakota do hereby proclaim June 3rd, 2018 as Celebrate Rhubarb Day in South Dakota.
Rhubarb! Rhubarb!
We have an honored guest here. My brother, Rhubarb King, is here from Brookings, Sanderson Gardens.
Self-proclaimed. Actually, when we started, we grow strawberries. And one day my dad, who worked at the college, SDSU in Brookings, was driving home, and the college was digging up their old experimental rhubarb patch. And he picked up all the roots he could and put them in his Volkswagen and drove it home and put them in our home garden. It's just fascinating. I mean, you talk to people about rhubarb, there's a connection. They'll tell you where it came from, who gave it to them.
People bring in rhubarb dishes, all kinds of different dishes. Some desserts, some we even had some baked beans with rhubarb.
The people who come judge them. We have ballots and they fill them out.
17, 18, 19. So do we consider liquids dessert or non-dessert? I'm very pleased to announce we have our two categories of dessert and non-dessert. Coming in third place was the wine. Second place is to our friend Dennis with the turkey asparagus soup. And our first place in the non-dessert category goes to Lisa Sorensen for her entry with rhubarb beans.
I love them, and so then I was kind of thinking everybody else would too. So I normally would use rhubarb for desserts. Last year I was trying to find a way to use rhubarb that wasn't so sugary, and that's how I found the baked bean recipe. And it's got onions and bacon in it and tomato sauce, and never thought those would go together, and they're really good.
I like that it kind of has a sweet taste in it. I like to eat it cooked and sometimes in a soup.
What kind of soup?
Like a chicken noodle soup with some rhubarb in it. It's really good that way.
We had a big family, 8 kids, 7 boys, all ate like pigs, and we had lots of rhubarb. And my mom would make a rhubarb sauce, and we would have that for dessert about once every 3 or 4 days.
Sharing food is a big part of community, and that's kind of what Rhubarb Day is about. You share your particular version of some dish, you share it with other people, and then they vote on it and select what they find the most tasty.
And our first place dessert was a rhubarb strawberry raspberry bread with Brenda Fergan.
Oh, rhubarb plant, oh, rhubarb plant, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good and darling wood, you share your recipe.
I remember being a kid when we lived in Minnesota, and we had mulberry trees all around our yard, and we'd pick them and eat them right off the tree, which was the best part about it. But my mom was always into canning. We always just had mulberry jelly. She would make that. Probably in a way, for me, it's carrying on a tradition. And they're a fruit that is not too sweet and not too tart. It's kind of right in the middle. For me, I'll probably get another really solid good week of picking them, and then probably by middle of July, it'll be slim pickings because the birds will want to eat them too. These are about going to be the sweetest. Most people have those kind of memories of just going out and picking the berries and eating them. So today we're going to make mulberry jelly. And to clear the confusion, most people don't understand the difference between jelly and jam. When you make a jelly, you're actually using the juice from the fruit, and you're not using any fruit bits at all. So with our berries, you typically want to rinse them, actually let them set for a while, because the unfortunate consequence of picking berries from a tree is you'll get bugs in them. And then you're just going to give them kind of a quick rinse. You don't want to do too much because don't want to lose the juice. And then what we would do from this point is we would put them in a pot and cover them with water. So that's what I've already done here, and you can't see the berries anymore because they've cooked down. So at this step, what we're going to do is we're actually going to strain the fruit. We got a lot of liquid with this, which is really good. You're just going to basically let the water seep through the fruit. It's really fairly simple, the ingredients. You need 3.5 cups of juice. You need 5 cups of sugar. You need some kind of pectin, and I use the Sure-Jell, and then a little bit of lemon juice just for acidity, because berries don't have a whole lot. You need to add a little bit of acid just to keep it from not preserving the right way. We're going to add our liquid to our pot, and we're going to turn it on high. So we're going to add our pectin to the pot and dissolve it, and then we'll bring that to a boil, and once we get that boiling, then we're going to add our sugar. And I'm actually going to add the lemon juice, about 2 tablespoons. And so some of the tools we're going to need at this point as well. This has a magnetic end on it, so you don't actually have to put your hands in the hot water. You can grab a lid that way and keep your hands off of it for that purpose. You'll also need a funnel, because as we start filling our jars, then we're going to want to keep it fairly neat. This is a jar gripper, so again, you're working with hot liquids. We're boiling now, so at this point we're going to add our sugar. 5 cups of sugar all at once. Stir that in, and then again, my recipe came from an old church cookbook, so I've had to adapt over the years. The original recipe actually called for raspberry Kool-Aid or lemon. Now, for a long time when I made this, you could still buy just red raspberry Kool-Aid, and I should have stocked up the last time I bought it, because now you can't get it. It's blue raspberry, it's something else. So because I didn't add the Kool-Aid this time, that's why I added the lemon juice. So there's not exact times. It says boil 3 to 5 minutes. Well, after making this for a lot of years, I found that closer to 5 is a little bit better than 3. But you're going to want it to get it to a rolling boil. And then we're going to just ladle the juice into these jars. For this particular recipe, it calls for 1/4 inch headspace, and what that basically means is you leave a little at the top for expansion, and I don't start that 3 to 5 minute until it actually gets to a rolling boil. Here it goes. I guess it's just something I've always done. It makes a lot. And I give it away, and my friends and family love it, and so why not keep making it? And I'm working rather quickly because I can feel it kind of gelling up already. This is where then you take your spatula and get the air bubbles out. So you just kind of move your spatula through. So now, this is the crucial step. See what a mess I've made? And I just take some moist paper towels and I just clean the rim, and that'll create a better seal, and B, discourage bacteria from forming. Once you get them all cleaned up, then you're going to add your hot covers. And the thing you want to remember about the seals is you can only use them once. It's basically finger tight is what you want. Then what we're going to do is we're actually going to take these jars and we're going to put them in our hot water bath. So it's rolling to a boil. You want enough liquid in there that it covers the jars by about 1 inch or 2. I'm going to drop it in. Put the lid on, and now this is going to process for 15 minutes. The recipe calls for 10, but we live above sea level. We're over 1,000 feet, so anything from 0 to 1,000 can be what the recipe says. The great thing about this recipe is that it's been asked for. I've given the recipe out, and it's no secret recipe at all. But I've had success with it. I gave it to friends whose kids have had success with it through 4-H. So it's a really simple recipe, and I think a lot of it is not so much the recipe, but how you process it. what we're waiting for is the pop of the seal, and that should happen fairly quickly, but it doesn't always happen right away. And that's it. And so typically you'll get a seal. If you don't, you can put it in for a few more minutes, but after that you should just use it right away. It's still good jelly. You can tell that it's not sealed because they have a little bit of, they're still a little bit puffed up. From a standpoint of sharing this knowledge, this capability, it seems like a simple process, but I know more and more that we don't teach these skills in school. We don't have home economic classes anymore where you might learn this, and it skips generations. And so being able to teach people these skills, using your own produce, preserving it at the peak, promotes some of that life skill learning and also maybe a healthier lifestyle for people.
Explore the culinary landscape of South Dakota online. Enjoy additional video, tips, recipes, and more. Join the potluck at sdpb.org/food.